What does it mean to you to have impact? You see, each of us, when we wake up every day, we have the choice. Are we going to go out there and impact the world positively, or are we going to do it more on a negative side? Our actions, our energy, everything we do has a ripple effect. That is what we're talking about today on Clarity in Action. We are talking about clarity of impact and understanding that as a leader to others and to yourself, how you show up matters. Stay tuned. I'm Clara Capano, and this is Clarity in Action. Welcome to Clarity in Action. This is the show where we have real conversations that are going to challenge your perspectives and drive real action. So if you are tired of holding back and you're ready to make bold moves, this is the show for you. Join us as we are going to take you from confusion into clarity. Well, welcome to another episode of Clarity in Action. This is going to be a fun one, not only because we have an amazing topic that is going to drive action, it's with one of my dear friends. So, Ryan, welcome to the show.
It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. So, Ryan, you and I met on another platform, and I was so impressed. You are an impact strategist, and two words that I love. So, when you put them together, it's even more abundant. The idea of delivering impact and then having a strategy, because we could have ideas, but without a strategy, a lot of those ideas don't go anywhere. So I would love to, before we dive into what you do and really helping you to unpack some of these tips and strategies for others, I would love to ask you, what was your moment of clarity that you took a look at yourself and realized the importance of impact?
I love talking about this. I believe everyone's reason why is the most important thing. It truly is. And my moment of clarity, what really presented to me the power of an impact and the importance of making an impact was dealing with my mentor. He took me under his wing. He certainly didn't have to. I was definitely a handful to work with, but one of the big relevant things that he always led, he always talked about, he always made relevant was our influence and the ability we have to positively impact somebody else's life. And he was he being a mentor, he was very focused on my reason why. He didn't care so much about how I did things. He cared about my reasonings behind it, right? And this is what led me to that clarity because I started to really ask the big questions. How do I
Mm-hmm.
want to be remembered? How do I want people to think of me? What do I want to leave behind? Right? We've all heard the saying, can't fit a camel through the eye of a needle. But I started to understand that an impact is the thing I can leave behind that can have a ripple effect well after me.
Right.
So what I believe was my moment of clarity was the aha moment that my connection with people,
Mm-hmm.
my creative thinking, the solutions I can come up with created an impact for people where they solved problems, they became more, they reached new heights. And that is what ultimately became my focus moving forward was an impact through the success of others.
Yeah, for sure. And what I love about this, and your mentor did this for you, and now you're doing it for those that you mentor. And in fact, you're mentoring my son, which I am so grateful for, and helping to unlock him. But the idea that it's that ripple effect, and we have the ability to impact positively or negatively. And I think that that's what people have to understand is the way that we show up, that will have an impact. It's on us to choose. And I love those questions that you started asking yourself. How do you want to be remembered? What is the mark you want to leave? Because we can go down one of two paths. And when we choose to go down the path of more the positive impact, we have to think about what is the world that we're creating. So I think that that is extremely powerful. So talk from more of a structural professional one. What does an impact strategist do? What do you help your people with?
So my whole objective, my whole focus as a consultant, as an impact strategist, is to find the best ways to create the biggest and most positive changes. And that boils down to so many different fields, angles, avenues, and directions. But in the world of business, a lot of the time it boils down to how to get the most success, growth, and progress out of your team, your
Mm,
business. And that ultimately boils down to one very important thing: unity. getting everyone on the same page, looking at the same target, striving for the same objectives. And the way to create a massive impact is to understand your team, understand yourself, and what it is that makes you tick. What is your reason why?
Yeah.
Find everyone's goals, what their purpose is, what they believe their dreams are, and find out how, through working with you, your team in this organization, they can grow and develop the skills that help take them to their dreams. You're
Yeah.
creating unity. And then
Mm.
people that have a different type of incentive to make a difference. So the strategy aspect is a lot of the people side of things. It's not so much the tasks or the things, it's more the strategic side of people and
Mhm.
how to navigate their complexities, their desires, their wishes.
Yeah. So I want to unpack this a little bit. I am a firm believer, and you and I have had several conversations, that the best way to grow the bottom line is to grow your people. And that's kind of what I hear you saying as well. I think so many people are coming out of an era, or were taught, drive the bottom line by driving your people, meaning driving them into the ground. More work, higher performance, not taking the time, like you said, to get to know your people. And, tongue in cheek, I want to be like, well, that sounds like it takes a lot of time, because it does. So, how can a leader budget their time? Because on one end, they have to get a result. The team leader has got to get this result. They don't have all the time in the world. So, what are some simple and effective ways that also can be simple as far as the amount of time they have to invest to build these relationships and build their people?
So I like how you asked the question. You definitely identify that there is a dichotomy there. There has to be balance between
Mhm.
the invested time in your people and the results that have to happen inevitably at some point, but preferably sooner rather than later,
Yeah.
especially when you have stakeholders and large investments overhead. The balance, the dichotomy that I see in what works is you don't have to spend a lot of time. You have to spend very intentional, genuine time. As a leader of a business, as an entrepreneur, a CEO, whatever it may be, your your number one responsibility is to create the results. But it's the only way you can do that is through your people. The
Mhm.
people make the business, not the other way around. So the balance that I find is the intentional connection, the intentional relationship, the intentional guidance. It's just like parenting. This is the easiest way to put it. If you do everything for your child, they'll never learn, they'll never grow. They'll just learn to be dependent.
Right.
But if you give them subtle direction, subtle guidance, subtle nudges, and work on their self-belief, their self-confidence, and just show that you're there to support them when they need you, they're going to grow, they're going to evolve, and they're going to reach new heights. It's the same kind of thing. You can't hold everyone's hand through every step of the process, but you can show that you care, you're interested in them genuinely, and you will have their back in a moment of crisis, concern, or serious roadblock.
Yeah. So there's a few things that I want to ask you in conjunction with all of this. So the idea that we can't do it all for them. And I know the mindset, and I've heard leaders say this: it's just easier to do it myself. We don't have the luxury of time to have them make a mistake. And I hear that. And at the same time, that's not serving the company long term. So, what would you say to a leader who is coming at you with those comments?
This is the biggest point of conflict I run into with every client of mine, almost every client. Some of them get it. We have this concept, this notion that we have a very limited amount of time to get XYZ results. A lot of it is arbitrary. Your objectives, your goals, your restrictions even are placed on you by you. You have to be willing to understand that success is a long-term game. It's a game of chess. It's not tic-tac-toe. It's not started and won immediately. You don't just start the race. It's not a 100-meter dash. No, this is a marathon, right? The sooner you start investing in your people and in the long-term plan and strategy, the sooner you're going to create automation, ease of life, ease of business. It's the problem is a lot of us think it's going to take so long when in reality it starts to compound. The more you invest your time wisely, the more those investments pay off, and they tend to pay off a lot at the same time. So it's easy for us to think, oh, if I start now, it's going to take too long. I've already been doing it this way so long. So they're okay managing chaos. Well, you
Mhm.
can't manage chaos. You can just survive it.
Right.
So be the strategic player, make an impact on your long-term goal, your long-term plan by making the bigger investments, the longer investments now, little by little. The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy is a great book that highlights this.
Absolutely. And, I think you're so right when you talk about the intentionality, the investment of the time. And, when you're looking at long term, you mentioned this idea of living in chaos and you can only survive it. And I think most organizations are on life support. They're putting band aids on things rather than solving the true issue. And it's better to solve it now and then reap the rewards because that's what's going to get you further. Now, you also brought up this concept of showing your team that you have their back. Speak about the importance of that and how we can demonstrate that to our team.
I will show the importance of it by explaining a really easy concept because this is the one that I saw that turned my boss into my leader and my leader into my mentor.
Mhm.
I believe that the most important part of being a leader is being the shield for your team when things go wrong. When there's a big problem, something fails, the proverbial poop hits the fan, you as the leader have to be the shield that blocks all the damage, that takes the hit. You're in the spotlight when things go wrong. But when things go right and you start to win and you're achieving great things, it's not your success, it's your team's success. You've got to give the credit to them.
Mhm.
Your goal is to make them better than you, is to have them reach their goals and dreams because automatically that'll happen to you. It's enlightened self-interest. It's
Mhm.
everyone wins, no one loses. It's the law of reciprocity in a sense of you give everything you can to them, they're automatically going to trust you, be on your team, and want to take you where you want to go.
Yeah.
But you've got to be the shield when things go wrong. You've got to take the hit, not them. And when things go right, it's not your credit, it's theirs.
Mhm.
When we start to see that, everything gets so much easier when it comes to managing a team.
It does. I remember when I was managing a team, I tried really hard to use, words such as "we are doing this" and "we're," because it's that "I," and just those little words. They do have impact in what we do. As a high performer, I love to start my day with two critical things: one, time with my dog, and two, coffee. And not just good coffee, but great coffee. I am proud to have Fetch Coffee Roasters as a sponsor for Clarity in Action, not only because they have great coffee with fun names such as Muddy Paws and Squirrel, but also for every bag of coffee that they sell, they donate $1 to helping dogs in need. I mean, how much better could it get than that? In fact, they've raised over $25,000 in their local communities. So go over to fetchroasters.com and grab your coffee and share some love with some dogs in your community too. So let's talk about this. So I'm a leader. I've done it all wrong. I have shown up. I have been, driving the bottom line, driving action, not spending time intentionally. And now I want to change. You can't change overnight. And at the same time, you have to build trust because a lot of this is that trust. What is one of the best things a leader can do to take back and start to change the tide and change the way and start going in the right direction?
Humility.
Mm.
This is the hardest one that I have had to deal with myself and that a lot of my clients struggle with. The fact is, when you've led one sort of way, if you've been the boss for a long time instead of the leader, there's going to be a certain narrative, a certain image of you, a certain belief from your team. And you're also going to have a lot of internal talk that conflicts with what you truly want. But the easiest way to break that cycle and to start building trust quickly on a very deep level is show humility. You're not perfect. If you say you are, you're delusional. If you think you can improve, you're wrong. Fact is, we all make mistakes. And if you want to make a change quickly, you have to make a big move and show some humility. A strategy that I used when I was very young, but I took over a large company. I realized I was making some mistakes. I was leading as a tyrant there for a little while because I was concerned, didn't know what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a step back. I called a meeting from all the managers, all the supervisors, got them in the same room. And that conversation was me telling them, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I've made mistakes. I've been doing this wrong. I haven't trusted you enough. I haven't given you enough enough of the resources you need, enough of the support. I've been steering the ship without your input. I need your help. I can't do this alone. So my job is not to lead you. My job is to serve you so you can achieve everything that you need to so all of us can win. It's that sense of humility. And immediately after that, my relationship with the team was very different. They didn't see me as the young guy who just was, given the title of their boss. It was, this guy really wants to make a difference for me. He's willing to take on the responsibility, the stress, and be the shield that gets hit. So it's that one word, humility, is the most powerful tool you have in
Mhm.
changing the perspective.
Yeah. I really appreciate you sharing that because I think so many people are afraid to do that. And you brought up the idea that there's a difference between a boss and a leader. And I think this is at the heart of a true leader is someone that is willing to say, I don't have all the answers. I'm not perfect. We're in this together. Again, we're going to guide them. And there is a lot of strength in humility and letting the team see you fall and saying, I messed up. Look at me. I did it. And again, we're going to get back. So I think that that is extremely powerful. Early in the conversation, you talked about the importance of, sharing a vision. You referred to the word unity, getting everybody in unity, which means we all have to be working in alignment with a shared vision. What are some of the ways that a leader can share their vision successfully to get that buy in? And what do they do if they don't have buy in?
This is a really good question. And one of the common denominators you're going to see with me is simplicity and clarity.
Mhm.
I find there is no substitute for the cardboard and crayon method
Yeah.
for anything. The simpler you can make it, the better, more efficient and effective it's going to be. So the methodology I've used and then have translated to my clients and they now use for their teams is get every power player in the same room, ask questions, bring transparency, show them what the overall objectives are, what the goals are. The fact is, most businesses struggle and fail or become stagnant because the team doesn't have the same target, the same goals, the same vision. There's a disconnect. Everyone just sees their own objectives, their own goals. They don't see the bigger picture. How can you expect everyone to work together if they have no idea what they're working for?
Hmm.
Right? That's pretty simple to understand, but it's so simple that we overlook it.
Right.
Right? So having transparency, show them what the big goals are. Then ask your team questions on what they think about it, what they think they can do to impact it. And
Hmm.
then you'll slowly see they will start forming goals that have positive impact on the overall goals. I turned a board quarterly meeting into a quarterly meeting for managers, supervisors, leadmen, and even employees so they can see from top down, bottom up, goals and objectives and every impact that they have. I think that's how you really create unity. We're all people.
Yeah.
Just because you have a different title than somebody else doesn't mean they shouldn't know what the goals are. My goodness, that
Mhm.
just seems foolish.
Yeah. And I think people do get very pigeonholed. They get stuck in their department or, like you said, their role, and they forget that their role is still part of the bigger picture. And, it's just like a bicycle. We have all the different gears, we have all the different parts, but the bike won't be a bike unless they all start working together. And
Mm-hmm.
we have to make sure if we want to start going in the right direction. I see the image of a crew, in rowing, and some of the sporting teams, you have experts in each of their fields, but the team won't win unless they all are all playing the same game.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, so I think that's really powerful. Well, Ryan, I could talk to you all day, and man, we pack a lot into our conversations, don't we? I would love to ask now, when I would love our people to learn about us and learn where the best places to find you, and then also what is it that you're working on next? What are some of the big things you have in front of you right now?
Yeah, so I love this opportunity. It's such an incredible honor to be here. Now, the easiest way to find me is LinkedIn, and my website, impactstrategyc.com. You can reach out to me so many different ways. My social media is about to have a major push, so hopefully you see some of that coming. But the things that I'm working on that are coming up is I just finished the first draft of my first full book. I had the privilege of co-authoring a book with some very big names. It was a blessing. But now I've got my first book coming out here very, very soon called Breaking the Circle. It ties into a lot of what we talked about today and is a huge benefit there. And just out of my momentum, immediately after I finished that first draft, sent it off to some people to read and edit for me. I started another book that ties into this conversation as well. So I've got some of those things coming up. I've got my show, The Bottom Line, on Now Media, and hopefully here soon I will have a second show coming out.
Beautiful. Well, let me know. I'd love to come and be a guest on your show.
Absolutely, that'd be an honor.
So, Ryan, it has been such a joy getting to know you, not just having you on the show, but, being able to call you friend. From the moment we had our first conversation, you and I just clicked. And I think it's because we are cut from the same cloth in that we want organizations to work at a better level, meaning healthier, more communicative, working in alignment with each other. And, when we do that, we create a healthy organization, which then just creates that ripple effect, like you said, of positive impact for all the lives. People go home, they're happier, they're more purposeful and intentional with their families and their loved ones. And that's how we're going to change the tide of the whole world and have more of harmonious effect. So it's all in those little things that we do each and every day. And I just want to say thank you for the gifts that you are bringing and for the impact that you are delivering. The last question I have for you today is, sitting where you sit today, how do you define success for yourself now?
This is a question that I've spent many, many hours really asking myself. And the best I've come up with so far is it's always going to change. But my definition of success is the ability to pursue what fulfills you every day. And when you receive that fulfillment, you bring that to the people around you in the form of love. I think that is success. If you can do the thing that fulfills you every day and it positively impact other people's lives, you are successful. Success isn't financial to me. It's impact. Mm-hmm. It's what difference you bring and leave behind.
Well, I think that was beautifully said, and I don't think I could add anything more to that. So, Ryan Herpin, thank you so much for being here, for sharing with us, and keep going out there and delivering impact every day. Thank you so much. Ryan has so much knowledge inside of him, and I took just so many notes. Here are some of the things that I really want to dive into. The idea of always keep it simple and clear. No, things should be easy to follow. Success really should be easy. It's a matter of coming up with the formula and sticking with it. So when you are guiding others, sharing the vision, communicating, keep it simple, keep it clear. Talked about the difference between being just a boss and a leader. A leader really unites people. They bring in that alignment. They grow their people. I love when he said that your role as a leader is to not only be the shield for your people, but to make them better than you. What a powerful statement. Talked about the idea that when you grow your people, it's not always about spending more time. It's about intentional time, sitting with them, getting to know them, but then also, how can you grow them? What is it that they need to do their job better? So really leaning into your people. And, he mentioned the story that he had where he went in and he had to just come clean and say, I messed up. I've been doing it wrong. Having that level of humility and really letting his people know, I serve you. And isn't that the heart of what we call servant leadership? So I think, just understanding that we are all leaders. For some of us, it might be ourselves if we're a solopreneur. For others, it could be a large team, a large corporation. Every day, though, you have the ability to lead. So let's make sure that we are showing up intentionally and focused on delivering positive impact. Thank you so much. Make sure that you are liking, following, rating the show, and please be sure to go ahead and share this. Let's share this with at least 5 other people so we could keep that ripple effect going and help everybody lead at a higher level of impact. I'm Clara Capano. We'll see you next time for Clarity in Action.